Hi guys, and welcome to today's tutorial. In today's tutorial we're going to look at the chapter on economic inequalities, and we're going to focus on the developed and the developing countries and basically the divide that we have throughout the world. Okay, so first thing you need to know is that you can basically, in terms of global distribution, the world can be divided into three categories. Okay, so we've got three different type of categories. Okay, so the first category we have is developed. The second category that we have throughout the world is quickly developing. And the third category we have is slowly developing. So there are the three different categories that we have throughout the world: developed, quickly developing, and slowly developing. And we're going to look at each of these categories now. Okay, so we're going to look at the developed category first, and this is sometimes known as the North. Okay, so developed countries are usually known as being in the North. They usually can be classed as like first world. Okay, first world countries. They are usually very well developed, the infrastructure, and very wealthy. They're usually heavily industrialized. Industrialized. Most people are involved in the secondary and tertiary activities. They've got a good health and education system. In developed countries, they will have steady growth rates for a long time. Steady growth rates. For a long time. Long period of time. An example would be Europe. And an example of a country in Europe would be Germany. And last year, for 2016, Germany's GNP per capita was equal to 45,000. So 45,000. So Germany's GNP per capita last year was 45,000. Okay, so that is kind of the characteristics of the developed category. Now we'll look at the quickly developing category. So the next one we're going to look at is the quickly developing, and some of the characteristics of this category is usually located in the south of the world, so the southern hemisphere. Usually called the third world. Industrialization has started to happen like quite rapidly. So industrialization rapidly in recent years. The next characteristic is that they've seen like rapid growth in recent years, so rapid growth in recent years. They're usually heavily involved in secondary economic activities. Particularly manufacturing. Another thing to note is that usually the standard of living and wages are poor but improving. And that's important to know. So they're still quite poor, the wages and the standard of living, but they are improving. An example would be India. And India's GMP in 2016 per capita was $6,000. $6,000, okay? So as you can see, in Germany it was $45,000 per capita. In India it was 6,000. So you can see that the wages and the standard of living is going to be considerably lower, but they are developing quickly in these quickly developing economy like countries. So the next ones we're going to look at is slowly developing countries, and these are like the poorest countries in the world. So the poorest countries in the world, usually referred to as the South and Third World. They have very little industry development, so industrial development. They have very low or actually negative growth in these countries. So negative growth rates. Very poor education and health systems in place. Usually you find in slowly developing countries that they are mainly involved in primary activities. So they don't have many secondary economic activities, and very, very few tertiary, if any. An example of a country would be Somalia. And Somalia's GMP per capita for 2016 was $150. Okay, that's it for today's tutorial. We've looked at the different categories that they can divide the world's countries up into. You got the developed, you got the slowly developing, and you've got the quickly developing. And we looked at the different characteristics and some examples for each type of category. You need to know these. It's very, very important because this really does show what this chapter is all about, the economic inequalities that exist throughout the world. If you enjoyed the video, if you found it useful, can you leave me some feedback? You can send me an email, or you can leave comments on the YouTube channel. You can also find all the videos for the entire Junior Cert course on the website examrevision.ie, and you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram.